Happy long weekend, everybody. It, yeah, hang on. Steve's getting me coffee. I will be right back. So hang on there, people. I'm coming, everyone. Don't go away. It's not like you're looking at dead air. Well, you're kind of looking at dead air, but I'm coming. Hello. Hopefully there we go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the long weekend. Yes. I know the first minute or so I wasn't here, so sorry. Had to get my coffee because coffee's important. Whoa. Yeah. So welcome, everybody, and thank you. I sent out an email. We'll talk about that in a moment and stuff. It's when it rains, it pours, right? When it rains, it pours. So I do have a lot of we have a class coming up next week. Woo! So for Soulfire, looking at the new Divine Will, and we also have the summer series. So the Sacred Summer series for June, July, and August, and they're $50 each or $100 for all of them. We have little mini readings this weekend. So if anybody wants a mini reading, so about 30-minute readings, 15 to 30-minute readings, $50, and you can book in and we can get some readings done. So we got some really cool things going on. And really trying to activate and bring in the prosperity and abundance, because that's what Mama needs to keep things moving and keep things mobile and stuff. So let's get out there. The other thing, and I know somebody mentioned this to me before, is that maybe I should start a new YouTube page. Some kind of astrology YouTube or something dedicated. I thought, anyways, I've had this YouTube page for quite some time, and we're at 250 people. Woot, woot, woot. I mean, I remember when I had 5. So it's slow. It's a slow and steady, and I know it has to do with the algorithm. I don't know if a new page would make any difference, or if I started a new page. And I've been looking at different alternatives for starting a new page. One of my ideas is just like sort of a meditation page where people can go and click on and click on different meditations and stuff like that. That's the other thing that I've been looking at as well. So there's just so much happening right now. So I sent out an email, and if there's any way that people can help, that would be absolutely fabulous right now. Things have just been a roller coaster around here, and it's I don't know. And I do, and I look at the astrology. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into the astrology. Hello, Charlene. So I'm hoping people get to watch this and get to watch the replay. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. That helps with the algorithm. And make a comment below too, because that really helps with the algorithm as well. So we're going to just basically look at things on what's going on. What is it? Oh, okay. Well, we're going to look a little bit at the market. So we're going to look at a little bit of gold prices today. Today's May 16th, 2025. For those who are just joining me, my name is Mary June Tracy, and spiritual love of life coach, psychic medium, and an astrologer. And I've been doing this work for about 30 plus years. And I'm coming in with you with the 411. So we look at the gold prices. So the gold have dipped below 32. So this is US prices, and it's trading at 32.06. So it's reflecting about a 0.55% of the day. And then silver is trading at $32, showing a slight decrease. That's kind of good. It shows that things are kind of leveling off right now. But if you see where Bitcoin, I don't have Bitcoin here, but if Bitcoin is rising, what I notice is that that's when people are scrambling. They're looking to do a lot of prepping and do prepping, right? Gold prices, I mean, especially if the gold price, you start to see them start rising again, you know that there's more tension. And after President Trump uh, is gone to the Middle East, and all the deals that he made in the Middle East, is really looking at some of them. I mean, he made some really big arms deals, brought in a lot of money into the United States, which is really interesting. I mean, he's going out there making deals for his country, and doing what he can to really bring in that prosperity for his country, which is very interesting. So that could make where the markets and everything will be stabilized. And you can see that sort of in right now. We got a moon in Cap, and having a moon in Capricorn wants to bring in some kind of stabilization within us, wanting to have us ground this. Our prime minister has announced a federal income tax rate. He said there's a reduction benefiting $22 million. We'll see, including many Indian immigrants. Now, I got some 411 on some of the stuff when it comes to new people coming into Canada. And it just blows my mind. It blows my mind. It's an insider person. They basically can't say no to them for anything. And you can see that it all started with that. Now, Jupiter is now over in Gemini, right? And Jupiter spends a whole year. So we got Sag. It went through Sag, Capricorn, okay, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus. Now it's in Gemini. So we count it. Ooh, look at the sparkles. I love the sparkles. Woo, like that. So 7, that's 7 years, approximately 7 years ago, when Jupiter went into Sagittarius. And I mentioned when Jupiter went into Sagittarius 7 years ago, that it had to do with immigration and migration. And we're going to start seeing a huge increase of immigration and migration of people coming into countries. So there's going to be a whole shift. Now, when you do these types of things, it's not like it happens overnight, right? It's not like, oh, okay, it's going to happen tomorrow. But what it is, it's a progression. Now, if you look at what has been happening the last 7 years, it's even happening before that. But the buildup of this and everything that's happening, and now it's in Gemini, and Gemini is in an opposition to Sagittarius, right? So it's expanding everything that was going on 7 years ago. It's expanding everything that was happening. Everything, when it comes to airplanes and things about flying, now we have the airlines looking at, oh, well, if there's a nuclear explosion, should we fly? Are we covered? And these are kind of the laying of the bricks upon our road of things that are happening. And this is why, when you look especially at the mundane astrology and you look at certain things, these are sort of the bricks that are being laid. These are things that are coming in. And even with what you're seeing in the States and the things that are happening with immigration. And it's amazing how people are protesting this and not thinking that it's like so horrible to deport these people and send them back to horrendous conditions. I don't think they really understand the tragedy of what's going on. In Ireland recently, and I mean, it's even happening here. Calgary's getting some scary things. I really fear sometimes when my daughter's out, even going to the shopping mall. I posted this on TikTok. This is all over TikTok, what's happening in Calgary here, where women are being chased and they're not, it's not, it's new people coming into the country. It's not somebody who's been around for a while. There's one that this guy went up and I think did he shoot her, Steve? That one guy, the mother said, oh, he's not well in his head.
Oh, yeah.
Stabbed the girl down for no reason. He didn't even know her, but the mother's saying, oh, well, he's not right in his head. No shit, Sherlock. But this is part of that chaos and everything that's happening. You can see in the chaos and craziness that's happening in the chart. And this is like, do you turn a blind eye to that? Right? And this is part of the awakening of saying no, because in history, it takes where it gets to a point when, especially when it starts to harm the women and the children, then people get up in arms and people start to really revolt. And that's what we're starting to see. But then you also have the ones that are on the other side of, for some reason, they're I'm gonna say they're delusional. They don't see it, or they turn a blind eye to it. There was that one woman, a young girl, 21 years old, and went into a pub in Ireland, and she was malnourished, beaten, came into the pub for help, and they thank God they helped to do uh, a whole thing when it comes um, to the investigation, and they found out that she's being held by a certain country that's very close to India, and a group of people that they call a gang of a certain persuasion. That's how I have to say it, you know? And, yeah, it is just one of those crazies, that would be, that's happening. Just have to answer this. So this is what's going on. This is the frequencies that are happening, that it's getting us to really look. Now, even within the craziness that I'm having a kind of like a fundraiser happening in my own life right now, where I'm wanting to create abundance in my in my world right now. Um because of things that are, and I don't want to, because I'm on a media, I sent out an email, it's on my Facebook post and stuff, but it is one of those things that trying to really promote and really get things out there, because this is, to me, um my work, and the hardest part of my work is the hardest part of my work is raising funds, doing the work, getting the information, being in the spiritual alignment. That's easy. To me, that's just like, oh yeah, I could be there all day. I could go into the meditations, I could talk about spirit, I could do readings, all of that. It's just like, yeah, that's the flow I love. But when it comes to, I don't know, that prosperity and abundance, it could be, and this is where I'm going to talk about karma a little bit, where my north node is in Cancer and my south node is in Capricorn. So from past life, and looking at past life, I know I'm all over the bloody world, bloody place. Oh, so this is where just getting things together and getting things going. So, anyways, let's look at some of this mundane astrology and the craziness that's going on. So we had a recent full moon. That full moon in Scorpio has stirred deep emotions and brought up hidden issues to the surface. Ta-da! I'm doing a fundraiser. Things are coming up that need to be funded, and need to be funded today. And this energy can influence political dynamics, revealing underlying tensions and prompting transformative changes. So there's a lot that's coming up. And that's what the thing is that when we look at energies from certain moons or certain aspects in the astrology, sometimes they can happen just before, sometimes they can happen after, sometimes it can happen on the day. Usually it's the rotation of, here I'm throwing this in, and I got like this big planet, I'm boom, I'm throwing Scorpio into the middle of um this craziness and this pond, and it's like doing these ripples, and it's like coming in, and it'll come in waves in different ways in your life. Now when you look at the karmic indicator in astrology, karma can be exploited explored, not exploited, don't exploit it, explored through the lunar nodes. The north node is Rahu, the south node is Ketu. So it's a snake. Like, what is the snake inhaling? Like, what is it eating? And what's it pooping out on the other end, right? So the south node represents past life experiences, ingrained habits, while the north node points towards growth, future aspirations. So my when you look at your chart and you look at where your nodes are. So my node is in my north node is in Cancer. What is Cancer? Cancer is about um wanting to bring in safety, security, harmony, family. That's what it is. It's the fourth house. It really it has to do with siblings, has to do with how things are being created, right? In your life. Your south node is things that as I said, were ingrained from your past. So what you did in the past. So what is Capricorn? Capricorn has to do with institutions. It does have a mystical part to it because it is the mystical sea goat, but it also has to do about creating community, wanting to create it. We all think it's Aquarius, but in Capricorn, you got to begin that. So when a Capricorn is starting to do a project, they're very excited. They want to get people on board. They want to do something. That's a very positive part about Capricorn. Capricorn has to do with government, ruling. How are we going to rule this? How are we going to create this? You know, institutions, hospitals, schools, right? So it has, because it is Earth, and it has to do with structure and bringing in that structure and what that structure looks like, right? So it rules the bones in your body, and how those bones feel, and what those bones are um are doing, right? So that's what it's very important to look at it. So if you have Capricorn, or if you have a lot of heavy Capricorn in your chart, it's important to take a look at what are the structures that are going on in your life, and what is happening. Now for me, it's like I have to come into that trust, have to come into that support and that love. um let's see, Cancer energy, fourth house. So when we look at this energy, this is, it is beautiful, and but this has to do with softness, safety, sacred, homecoming. Emotional safety equals social status. Capricorn has to do with, wanting to have things built, wanting to have some structure there. We also have to do with nurturing over, performance, inner child healing, public persona maintenance. So your inner child is more important than your personal persona. Connection to land, ancestors, and origin stories, which is very interesting, because when you look at the Cancer energy, and this is where you start to look at what is your connection. What is your connection to the land? What is your connection? Now mine is in the first house, and so the first house is Aries, and Aries is I am. And what is Aries? Aries deals with how you think, how you see. Cancer in the first house is the embodiment of the divine nurture, emotional intuition, empathic, emotional, attuned caretaker energy. um Home to worn on a body, so you carry the roots, ancestral. So a lot of ancestral energy that comes up through me, that releasing. So take a look, and if you want to, remember, I got readings this weekend, that if you want a 30-minute reading, we can look into this. We can look into your chart even in a deeper way, if you want to look into your nodes, and looking at where they are, and um where you are needing, what you're dealing with in your life, what's going on in your life. And it's cool. It's a cool way of looking at things. So just saying. So that's part of it. Now we look at the karmic of what's happening in the world. 24 degrees Aries, in the 10th, shows we're healing. with Chiron Wounded Healer. So it shows that we are trying to heal. We're coming through some confronting wounding in leadership, visibility, and power. When we look at the South Node where it is today, this is past life patterns, karma to resolve. It shows karmic themes and fairness and codependency. And this is where it's, broken peace deals, where things are broken. I was watching a show, or was it a show? Was it TikTok? Oh, just leave it there, please, Lovey. A TikTok. And what the TikTok was talking about, it was talking about how, what was it? British Empire, and how what the things the British Empire did, and how we are still trying to break that karma from the British Empire. I mean, how many times did they sell? Did they sell? Pakistan, or what they, how they pulled out of India was very tragic, and what that did to the nation, right? And having the nation rebuild, because there was such a dependency, and the deals and stuff that they made with different countries to get the countries to do things for them. And there's still a lot of that past life of broken peace deals. Now, Saturn often shows karmic lessons, and we are at, and this is where my workshop comes in on Saturday, where Saturn is at 29 degrees, coming in 29 degrees Pisces. It's closing a 36-year karmic cycle, especially around spirituality, victimhood, truth versus illusion. So there's a lot of things that are coming in with that. And hidden karma. Look at your 12th house. What's your 12th house? You may have Mercury, Uranus, or the Sun all within a range of this cusp, right? And so mental breakthrough, sudden awakening, Merc and Uranus, so around values and self-worth. So we have all of this intensities like coming in, getting us, squeezing us to really look at things in a very deep, deep way. The card that kept coming up to me when I was thinking about this is the Judgment card. Everybody's coming out of the coffin, they're gray, this is karmic reckoning. This is a resurrection, a soul revival. This is a day of release and trying to get the clarity, trying to get the things, get it out there, right? So one of the affirmation that I put together was, I release the weight of old contracts. I honor my soul's freedom. Bringing that in. Obsidian is still coming in strong. I can't find my obsidian. It's somewhere. It's somewhere. So, and the mugwort, of course, because I love mugwort, but it brings in insight and astral um, healing. I mean, last night I had some really bizarre, crazy dreams last night, of I dreamt my husband, Steve's mother, who I never met. And then there were some other activities that were going on there. And I think we were in Trinidad. And then there was um, some beautiful and ancestral or indigenous people that were there. Well, they wouldn't be my ancestors because my ancestors weren't indigenous people to North America. But anyways, there was an older woman, which could have been me in later on in life, um, going around talking to people, and I was waiting to talk to her, but she didn't say anything to me. She just smiled and went away. So really crazy dreams, like so this is like trying to find some ancestral healing. This could be some dreams, some insight. So this is where it's like really wanting us to look deep into to what we are doing, looking into key houses, like your 6th house, your daily work, your 10th house. This is about career and public life. Your 2nd house is your income, right? Community, profession. What is that? What does that look like for you? And then we have with that Mars coming in, and the Neptune in Aries. This is just bringing in a lot of confusing, a lot of things that you want to be inspired, want to do things, because it's very fiery. It's very, here I am. But I feel like the soul is calling, but there's still a lot of fogginess, a fog around the edges. So we want this divine inspiration, or is it an ego illusion? And this is why it's very important, because we do have this grounding energy with Taurus and Capricorn to sit and not move. This could be very tiring energy for a lot of people, especially if you do have a lot of fire and air in your chart, because you want to go, but it's just like, I can't go. I feel very tired. I want to get going. So this is where you might feel a drive to act, out on your soul, or the burnout, the misdirected efforts, or chasing a fantasy unless it's grounded in a higher purpose. And that's where I feel that Mars and I feel that Neptune energy, because it's like here you are, you're wanting to create something, you're wanting to do something, and sometimes you feel like you're being directed in a certain way, but it's like, am I being directed to do that? Is that the truth? So it's like almost like, do I trust in this guidance that's coming to me, or do I not trust it and then just go off on that? But is that my ego illusion? See, it can get so complicated, right? So watch for um, confusion, especially in the leadership globally, mixed messaging, bold moves made without clear plans. So you might be hearing things being said, and it's like, okay, there might be some misguidedness that's happening in there right now, especially on the world front, because a lot of these are at critical degrees. Critical degrees are ones that are either at the very beginning or very end of a chart. And we have a lot of planets that are there right now, coming into these critical degrees of bringing in this transformation in this world. And this is where spiritual insight, your job is not just a job, it's an altar. So reconnect with what your mission is, right? It's not just the title or the paycheck. What is this? Remember, you are the altar. Wherever you go, your body, yourself, your persona, you are the altar. So what is that? How are you bringing that altar to what you are doing? And your truth, and what is the truth, right? It's like, Jesus didn't say, he didn't say, hey, I'm the truth in many different ways. He goes, I am the truth and the light and the way. He said that. You don't hear that much from others saying that, oh, only I am. Like, even when you look at the Mormon religion, it's like, yeah, they have the Bible, but then they have, was it Joseph Smith, and you have his word, right? And then you have God's word. And that's when you start to look at things, is that you got to start looking at the insight. What is that light that you are following? What is that grounding that you are putting in there? When I do some of the mantras and you listen to the Sanskrit talks about God, the
Listra FaceTime video,
and what that is. So looking at what that truth is, what that light is, and what's going on. So you're going to have to recall her back. And that's so important to really take a look at how things are coming up for you. And as we're going in, especially with Mercury, and it's in Taurus, and it's coming up to conjunct Uranus, there's going to be breakthroughs. So it's about group work, social media, tech, innovations, sudden news in work, community, especially in financial and farming sectors. A lot of things coming up about farming. There was a in Quebec trucker protest that's happening in there. There could be, for those offering alternative services. So things with Stephen, bring it to me.
Yep, somebody else doing something that they
Okay,
can't.
Steve.
It pissed me off, man.
1 second.
Just to get a number to call back, then I can't.
He was looking at the wrong place. Just saying.
Hey,
So-
just having my coffee.
So it's quite funny. So healing arts, anything digital.
And
So if you want to do anything to do online or something, if you want to do some digital art, this would be a great day to do some digital art and play with it. And play with that. And doing things. But be cautious with tech today. Glitches, outages, or surprise news can disrupt routines. Edmonton, I think, had an outage, and there's been a lot of outages over in Europe as well. So just be aware of that as well. So maybe it's just a sketchbook that you use. When we look at the relationships, so the moon today, when I took the chart, was in Capricorn. So this is about looking deeply within the loyal, serious about commitment. There's emotional needs, practical obligations, karmic reckoning in relationships. So look into your seventh, fifth, and fourth house. So the seventh is about partnerships, fifth is romance, fourth, roots, emotional safety. So looking into all of these different parts. And old patterns could rise for healing. And do you carry others' emotional or repressed feelings? And I feel when you look at the world, there's such repressed feelings of emotion and a lot of karmic energy that's coming through there. And it's to release that karma, not hold on to it and say, okay, that was in the past. Let us be in this present today. And what does that look like? And what does that feel like? Right? Somebody's coming in. So whatever, the dog freaks out. And then we look at Venus in Aries. So fiery, right? And wants to have that fire, wants to have that independence. But it conflicts around who leads, especially when things are involved. So we got a lot of things going on in this house. It's just crazy. So when we look at a lot of key factors, right? So we're looking into income, shared finances, financial work, and your relationship to all of that. When I wrote my letter this morning and sent it out by email, sent it out on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there for me. But it's also to look at, you know what? I want to build this community, and the only way I can build the community is I have to continue being able to pay my bills and doing all of that as well. Anyways, I don't want to start stressing on all of that. But we also have Jupiter and Gemini, and Jupiter is coming in, and it's karma. This is a karma of giving without clarity or overspending out of faith. So set energetic and material boundaries. Citrine pyrite is beautiful for today. I mean, the pyrite, grounded protection in business manner, holy basil, or even basil. Purple basil just keeps coming into me. So utilizing purple basil is something I think would be really, really cool. And Pluto in Aquarius always has to do with hidden financials. So things around government and things that are hidden there. Governments, corporation, even in your own budget, may start to unravel. So I think things are going to start coming up even in governments, in their financials, and how they do things, how things are created there. Excuse me. So what should we take away for today? There's so much to unpack. There's just so much. I feel like I'm all over the place. There's just so much to unpack. Saturn in Pisces is the master teacher. And it stands at the end of the zodiac asking us, have you learned to trust divine timing, or are you trying to force the timeline?
He's a big man now.
And the North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. This access, right? So letting go of old codependent patterns. And especially when we're working in home and life. So what does that look like? What does that feel like with that, right? Because we are in such a precipice. That's a good word. And looking at this precipice, as the nodes, I should have said Pisces and Sagittarius, sorry. And looking at this, because the nodes are, and looking at these transformation of this mystical terrain that's happening,
Well, you
And
need something to do elsewhere.
this is where we have to look into our external seeking or inner knowledge, right?
So
This
where
is
you are
a
going?
nodal
Elsewhere?
axis where, because the nodes go opposite to the planets, right? So the nodes go, let me think. I got so mixed up. Planets go this way, they go counterclockwise, and the nodes go clockwise. So that inner seeking, that inner knowledge, that soul, that path, that spiritual surrender. And this is trusting what can't be explained. So intuition, dreams, compassion. And with the South Node, it's like what we've, you know, when we've been, you know, where you have been, this karmic comfort, the themes, the teacher, you know, and looking at the dogma, looking at that dogma that you've been told in the spiritual arrogance. So escapism is there through movement, risk, idealism. Speaking over listening, listening to what your soul has to say, taking that time to really get into it. And what is our evolutionary? So when we go into the Pisces, our evolutionary change, this is what the new spirituality, the new realms that are coming forth at this time, and looking at what's coming forth for us at this time. So landlord will be here in 10 minutes. So we have a lot, like, yeah, I know I got a lot going on. We got, and I find it funny because everything that's happening, of course, my bathtub, the water won't stop running for the hot water and stuff like that. So we have like a lot of water issues, so a lot of emotional energies and stuff that are coming. And so we have to look at this inner knowledge and surrender. I think that's very important. So our karmic affirmation, I'm going to wrap this up because I have to get going. I release the need to know everything. I'm held in divine mystery where love and truth flow freely. Some of the things that you could do today: look at a dream journal, guided meditation, do a prayer, like do a spiritual journey. And this is what I've done, is like where you'll be in a year from now upon your spiritual journey. Like, you know, you could just say day 1, spiritual journey. Looking for enlightenment. Day 2, haven't found the light yet. It's still a little bit dark in here. Whatever it is. Walking a labyrinth or a spiritual pilgrim inward. So that would be something would be very cool to do today. If you have somewhere in your town that you could do a labyrinth or a spiritual pilgrimage inward. Sacred music, water rituals, and forgiveness, especially with mentors or spiritual figures. If you have issues over religion, if you have issues over anything like that, you know, today I have to go to Costco on a Friday, on a long weekend. God help you. Man, I Fridays when I worked at Save On, or even when I worked at Community, holy fuck. They're crazy. In the middle of the week, it's not too bad because everybody's gone. Saturday is the day where everybody goes out shopping for gardening stuff and getting the gardening stuff. So that's one of yeah. So have fun on that one. And the Hangman, the tarot card, surrender, divine perspective. Hangman and the Moon card, like I could deal because my life is the Tower, but the Hangman and the Moon card are 2 cards that really kind of like me, you know? They're the cards. So the herb Blue Lotus came to me, and that's the lucid dreaming. And I think the Blue Lotus, I didn't have any last night, but I feel that Blue Lotus energy, definitely. Crystals, amethyst, protection, spiritual attunement. Very much a part of it. Yeah, so today, go out there. I think I'm going to put this out in a social media, a carousel post, because there's just so much information here to unpack. And doing that unpacking is such an important piece. Whew, baby. If you're able to do a donation, definitely that would be so helpful. I need to raise a certain amount of money today, especially by noon today would be absolutely fabulous. Yeah, when it rains, it pours. I've canceled a lot of my subscriptions and stuff. So I'm just becoming quite a minimalist when it comes to a lot of things that I do, but some of the ones I have to keep in order to keep the business going, because if I don't have them, other things don't work. So it's kind of a toss up kind of thing that's going on right now, and keeping the vehicle running. So right now it's just basic things on the vehicle. I will be doing um I don't know if I should do like a crowdfunding to get my brakes done and stuff like that. That's the other thing. Um, because I need the vehicle. The vehicle is what I need to take my grandson to and from school and other errands that I do. Yes, I do have a bus pass. Yes, I can take a bus, but there are certain things that if you live in Calgary, buses just don't work in Calgary very well. They're not traveler friendly, let's say. So, on that note, anyway, stop begging, Mary. That's what I feel like I'm doing. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you. Have a great one, everybody, and we will talk to you tomorrow. All right? Bye-bye.